Welcome back to the United Pubcast, the podcast of the official Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney for your weekly Monday therapy session. Josh is a late replacement for Larry because Larry saw the scoreline of 0-0 against Newcastle and he said, stuff that. I do not fancy discussion about that. Throw Josh under the bus and he can deal with all the problems that come our way in sort of what comes up in this conversation. So, Josh, Monday afternoon or Monday evening now, talk to me. How have you coped after last night's, what do you call it, disappointment, bit of frustrating draw, I'd say?
Yeah, a bit of a weird one. I mean, whenever United don't win, you stay up for the game. It feels like, it's very recent, very raw, but I went into the deepest sleep after it. Really weird. Honestly, can't explain it. Never happened when United have pulled up a shocker. But yeah, look, for me, being honest with you, I called it a draw from the start. But I looked at the league table, looked at the form. I was like, you know what, we've not drawn in a while. So I put a fiver on us to draw, and being as confident as I was, I cashed out with 15 minutes to go, which was a bit daft. But yeah, look, standard United, disappointment, pretty decent kickoff time as well. Nothing new for me.
Yeah, I think they said one of those, it came up like 20 minutes into the commentary or something, that Erik ten Hag hasn't had a draw yet as Man United manager. As soon as that stat came up, it's a draw. It's one of those things in terms of the commentator's curse. But before we get into it, and there's many talking points, before we get into everything, just you touched on Newcastle there just for a second, in terms of, okay, big team, good game, or whatever, however you sort of want to look at it. Were they just a solid enough team? Or is it something we have to sort of take a step back and sort of put them not in the big category in regards to City, Liverpool, Chelsea, etc., but in regards to they are a good team, and it's not like drawing at home to Bournemouth or something. This is, if it was away at Newcastle, we would potentially see this as a positive point. So while there is obviously frustrations and definite issues to discuss, at the end of the day, Newcastle are a pretty good outfit.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're a team with probably a lot of pressure on them. You think about the multi-billion-pound ownership they've got with the Saudi group, and when that happens, there's a lot of pressure on a team to perform instantaneously, even though in reality it's going to be a 6-year project. And they have that pressure. I mean, there's a lot of expectation with where they are in the league at the moment and where they should be towards the end of the league. And you wouldn't think that with a team in terms of the confidence they had playing, it was without any pressure, and it really showed yesterday a lot of freedom. And I've seen some comments saying Newcastle were happy with the 0-0. Don't think they were. I don't even think they set up for the 0-0. Maybe a little bit more in the second half as we grew in confidence and as the game sort of petered out. I think naturally would settle for a draw with 10, 15 minutes or so to go. But really, really good outfit, and I can only see them improving.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if you are tuned in, please do leave a like on the video, and we will dissect everything and get all your thoughts in the live chat for us to discuss. But Josh, look, match review, we always sort of go in starting 11 and then one or two talking points. Before we get into that, we will discuss the referees, because here we are. I think we're going to get into later on in the chat. We only have ourselves to blame. We had big chances. We'll get into Erik ten Hag. We'll get into the players' performances. Ultimately, Man United weren't good enough on the day. As I said, the draw is potentially a fair result. So we're not blaming the referee, but it is a discussion that needs to be had, because not just in the Man United game, across all the games, I saw the Leeds game, the West Ham game, Liverpool, Man City, all these games had absolutely horrendous decisions. Now, we had a bit of a discussion before on air in regards to the Man United side of things. It was quite consistent. Obviously, if you look at the Rafael Varane penalty claim on Callum Wilson, if that was the other end, would be screaming for a penalty. So it didn't sort of go all Newcastle, all against us. Newcastle can feel a little bit aggrieved as well at times, but ultimately there were huge decisions that went against Manchester United, and not just unlucky decisions, just blatantly wrong decisions, especially with the sort of the use of VAR at the referee's disposal. I'm just thinking, yes, we aren't blaming the referee for the result. That's on Manchester United, but if you do look at it, my God, he had an impact on the match.
Yeah, I mean, there's some questionable decisions both ways, but as I said, you can't argue with consistency, and at least he was consistent. I mean, I could say a really jokey comment and say, that's what happens when you have an Aussie in VAR, but
I can't believe he's over there. I can't believe he's doing it. And a lot of Australians get behind him, and that's good. I get all that, but look, he's a poor referee. He refereed me on one or two occasions, and it's a joke amongst the players, but he's a poor referee. And amongst the A-League, he sort of gained this status that he was a good referee, and obviously got to move overseas. Congratulations to him, a fair play to him, making a career over there. But to have an actual poor referee going over the English Premier League and making VAR decisions it's worrying. And then it hurts even more when it sort of goes against you.
I think so, but as I said, if he would have, let's say he would have given the penalty against Varane and then wouldn't give the penalty against Sancho, you'd be slating him even more. I think the good thing about yesterday, from his perspective anyway, is that he remained consistent and he remained sort of tough in his decision. He had to, probably be bleeding to get a penalty yesterday, and that sort of ethos he instilled in the game. And even though I wasn't happy with it, and I was probably throwing my remote control at the telly, on reflection, to have that consistency, you can't really argue, to be fair, despite the decisions. The other side, you look at if that was us with the Varane, you'd be screaming penalty, and just like we were the other side with Jadon Sancho as well. I think both teams were hard to buy in that respect.
No, definitely don't disagree there. Rob, good to see you, mate. Hope all is well, but been down all day from this result. It did hurt, this result. You think that sometimes you can get over that? Like, sometimes it makes you wonder when you sort of feel a bit depressed in regards to a draw like this. You wonder, how do we ever cope when we lose a match? Like, you look back and think, oh, God, how did we get past that 6-0 defeat against Manchester City or something? We do survive, but this one did sting, unfortunately. But just the last bit on the refs, Josh, before we move into football. The Ronaldo situation in regards to the goal. Harry Kane and Craig Pawson. I reckon Craig Pawson is celebrating that goal with Harry Kane in the corner flag. I think he's quick to award that goal to Harry Kane. If that was Bruno Fernandes or Cristiano Ronaldo, while he knows it's a goal, he rules against it. I'm just thinking, why does he rule against it? When he blows the whistle to play on, the ball is touched after the whistle has been blown. He has his hand up for an indirect free kick, and then he disallows the goal. And I'm just thinking, look, it's not cheating. I'm not calling him cheating, but I can't get my head around it, Josh. Talk to me.
I think the fact that he had his whistle in his mouth and he blew before anything even happened, that's what happened in essence. He stopped the game, and by the rule of the book, he's done the right thing. But I was thinking back to 2000, I think 10-11 was it, with Nani? He scored that goal against Spurs. That was what was coming to my mind. But you just knew straight away nothing was happening. It's not even like a VAR perspective. It's got to be a clear and obvious in that respect. And once the referee's got the control in his mouth of the whistle, it's hard to see how that's even going to get turned, despite like the objections from our end. It was just a no.
Oh yeah, I don't look at VAR in this thing. I don't know what the ruling is with VAR, how they can potentially overturn. So I'm definitely not looking at Jared Gillett in regards to that, but just Pawson. And I can just see a situation where Harry Kane does that, or an English, even Marcus Rashford. If Marcus Rashford did that, I think it's a goal. But I think there is I wouldn't say an agenda against Bruno and Ronaldo, but there's no doubt referees don't like those two. I'm just thinking that the perception some people have, like, he would have loved disallowing Ronaldo a goal like that. And I just think it should have been better handled, because ultimately he knows it was a goal. But in terms of technicalities and whistles and how it potentially looked, especially looked to his referee bosses, it was potentially a bad look for the referee.
Well, it's not the only time that's happened. I mean, again, we've had decisions like that against us in the past. You look at the game against Chelsea when
the short corner,
Ronaldo scores a header. Fortunately, we scored the goal in the next set piece. But sometimes clever intuition, it doesn't get rewarded. I mean, you see that viral clip going around in Germany where I think is it Dortmund versus Munich, or I can't remember who it was, but he basically just kicks the ball towards the byline, runs away. The opposition player picks the ball up to take the throw in. Referee throws handball because it's actually not gone over the line. Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, they happen. At the end of the day, though, here we've just had a bit of a moan about the referees, but ultimately we're going to get into Manchester United at the moment. They weren't good enough. The players weren't good enough, and ultimately didn't get enough to get the result. But Emad here just paused the pod, and he's going to start watching in an hour. No worries, mate. Enjoy work. But Josh, starting 11. That's how we almost start every review. I think the back four obviously picked itself, so there's nothing to discuss there. Christian Eriksen, now, obviously, if someone's sick, he's sick, what can you do? Even if they're injured, but ultimately, if someone's sick, absolutely no issue there. However, I never thought I'd be in the position 6 weeks ago to be thinking, oh my God, the one thing we're missing a bloody Christian Eriksen, we're missing the Danish midfielder in our centre of the park. Because, my God, didn't it make a difference not having him there?
Don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm saying he was the perfect replacement for Mata in terms of the intelligence, football intelligence, playing with a football brain. Absolutely epitomises that. I know a lot of people were sort of scrolling their eyes out with the fact of his recent injuries, his recent troubles. Will he be effective for United? Will Ten Hag utilise him? It's the first name on the team sheet pretty much every game, and that's reflective in his performances. He's undroppable at the moment. I suppose following the same momentum McTominay had in the first couple of games of the season for United, he really is undroppable. And yesterday, when I saw he wasn't on the team sheet, that's when he sort of did it for me, where I knew it was going to be a really, really tough game. Obviously, if he started, I think we would have had the same sort of challenges. But in terms of the creative play and breaking their back four down, I think he provides the answer to that.
Yeah,
But
no,
that's
definitely.
very easy to say when you draw a game 0-0.
Fingers crossed he gets back fit, and it was only just maybe a bit of a bug. Apparently, Marcus Rashford was carrying something as well, which was potentially part of the reason why he started on the bench and not on. So, fingers crossed both those guys can get healthy quick, and obviously the games come thick and fast. Adam here saying, yeah, in regards to referencing that Nani scored a goal like that against Spurs a couple of years ago. That actually shouldn't have been a goal as much as it was in terms of the referee didn't see Nani picked up the ball. So the referee didn't actually award a free kick where Nani picked up the ball. It should have been a free kick where the referee waved play on. And because it was play on, obviously the goal was legally still. But if the referee saw the handball, it should have been a free kick. But I wasn't complaining at the time, obviously. I'm in a title winning season. Borche here, good to see you, mate. Hope all is well from the football capital. Unlucky not to get the result. Happy with football. The individuals let us down. On that, Josh, I tend to agree in regards to while there is huge frustration, we'll get into individual performances and how that potentially cost us. Yes, it did have a sort of a bit of a lackluster feel in regards to how the game ended. Ultimately, and okay, Newcastle played very well in the first half and were under the pump for a little bit. However, I didn't think the football was that bad. Like, okay, it wasn't great, but I think Erik ten Hag would have been happy with sort of somewhat control, especially without Christian Eriksen there. I think we played well enough until we sort of demanded a bit of quality in the final third. And that quality in the final third was what let us down, not the sort of build-up play.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with that. I think United's performances in the past, especially last season, where we weren't winning, we blamed it down to a lot of laziness, fatigue, the momentum of the games. I don't think anyone was lazy yesterday. For how bad Fred was yesterday, at least he did try. It was probably a sub 2 out of 10 performance at best, but I wouldn't say it was a lack of effort or a lack of trying. I think it was just, the quality. For me, the main thing that was missing was the final third yesterday. I thought, for large parts of the game, we did control it. We had some great spells of possession, especially midway through the second half as well. We started to build up a bit of momentum. I actually thought we were a lot better in the second half compared to the first as well in terms of controlling the game. Yeah, I mean, in terms of previous games where it would have been like this, I could have seen United last season losing a game like this 2-0 at home.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that
a couple of weeks ago, start of the season, we would have done that.
Yeah, and look, I know that's not justifiable for the result. In essence, it's a very bad result. You look at the miss right in the 93rd minute by Rashford. It's a bad result in the grand scheme of things. In terms of the 3 games that we've got, I know a lot of people were saying, we really need probably 7 points out of the 9 to really pick up the momentum. And for us now, that's a win against Tottenham and Chelsea, which you really can't see us probably getting 3 points out of any of them too.
We'll preview those matches a little bit later in the week, but yeah, I was looking forward to those about 12 hours ago. Not looking forward to them now. But Jamie from Northern Ireland, good to see you, mate. Sorry I'm late. No need to apologise, mate. You are here. Larry is not, so definitely no need to apologise. But comment here I saw, Josh, here from Rob in regards to 12 games in, I thought would look like Press as a team by now, not now overlapping fullbacks. I think that's not overlapping fullbacks today. No creativity without Eriksen. In regards to the pressing, I was thinking this halfway through the match, especially parts of the second half with Anthony, Delot, and then on the other side, I think there was one incident with Jadon Sancho and Luke Shaw in regards to pressing. And there's so many different facets we can debate in regards to pressing. In regards to we want a high press, who presses well, who's suited to it, who's not suited. They're all different discussions. I can't get my head around what it feels like there's a curse on Manchester United, because I see with Erik ten Hag, no, yes, I'm not looking at anything in terms of casting any final judgments in regards to still very early. He still needs to implement his ideas and players are still getting used to it. I fully understand that. But look, top quality professionals that we have at Manchester United, £100 million player, £75 million player, experienced internationals at fullback, and a great tactician, a great manager in Erik ten Hag. Managers who have won the lot in Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, and they also had world-class players at their disposal. I cannot get my head around. It's baffling to me. When our wingers press, whether it be Bruno Fernandes at number 10 or an Anthony on the right or Sancho on the left, when they press, it doesn't matter who's in the wrong. They might be in the wrong or they might be in the right. But there is then a 50-metre gap. Our fullbacks are on halfway. And I cannot get my head around. There has to be a decision somewhere in there where the winger doesn't press and he can stay compact with the fullback, or the fullback goes with him. But 9 times out of 10, the fullback is pressed, our winger presses their fullback. The ball gets played to a wide man, and there's a 60-metre gap between our winger and our fullback. And I just cannot get my head around how this is a constant. No other club does this. But under Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ralf Rangnick, Erik ten Hag, with world-class players, top-class professionals, that is such a consistent thing that's happening. I don't see that happening in Sunday League. And I just think it happens so consistently at Old Trafford. I can't get my head around it, because for two people to be so far off on different pages, it feels like there's a curse. We'll talk about Paul Pogba and that curse potentially put on Old Trafford a couple of weeks ago. I cannot get my head around how the pressing is so disjointed at Manchester United under so many good managers with so many good players. Talk to me.
I think there's beyond that. I think it's just United's ability to adapt to different systems and formations. I mean, the commentator yesterday kept on reverting to the fact that Ten Hag's had to really adjust his ideology and philosophy at United. We saw that in the first couple of games where it became really clear that we didn't have the capabilities to play out from the back. Mourinho was the same when he first came in. Wouldn't play Fred because United didn't have the defensive capabilities to support it. Probably not wrong in that respect now still, but it shows United's inability to sort of adapt to different situations, different styles, and I think that's really common. You look at the example with Spurs at the weekend. I think they played Brighton at the weekend.
Yeah,
when he won 2-0.
Oh. Well, when Spurs won away at Brighton, the other was a week ago or so.
When Spurs played a couple of weeks ago, I think they were 0-0 at half time, and then they won the game 2-0. And he changed his philosophy to a style that he's used to playing with his clubs. Inter Milan, at Chelsea as well, we're playing 3 at the back and playing the wing back, so it's technically like 5 at the back. And the players can adapt to it. They can adapt to 2 different systems when they need to and play really solid football. And I don't want to compare United to Spurs, but I just don't get it. I mean, he's instilled an ideology when he was at Ajax, Ten Hag, for playing good football from the back, which is not what they always used to do. The players would have had to adapt to a system, and I just don't understand why United can't adapt to those different systems. Does it stem from the keeper? Yeah, in essence, yeah, because you're playing out from the back. And do you roll your eyes at De Gea and think, you know what, is he the problem? Is he causing us not to play? Because ultimately, that's what happened with City. Pep realised that the main focal point of us not playing out from the back is that Joe Hart can't play out from the back. A keeper that was epitomised Man City's success for the first 5 years of their success was Joe Hart. Yeah. He got rid of him. Bad decision.
But I just kind of look. All your points are correct. I just different managers with different players. This is not okay. This one group of players and okay, this group of players is incapable of that. So they've been managed under Van Gaal, Mourinho, and Ten Hag, but it's the same group of players. No, I've had great players with great managers, and it's the same problems. It's not like there's any consistency. It's all different little recipes that just have failed. And I can't get my head around it. Like there's something there, and that obviously it can sort of trickle into a discussion about ownership and sort of standards set and sort of how players are rewarded. That is obviously a discussion which we don't have time for today, but it's just something that it baffles me. And I'm watching the game there and see Anthony and Diogo Dalot 70 metres apart, and I'm just thinking, and I don't know which one's in the wrong. Anthony might be in the right or he might be in the wrong, I'm not sure. But for Erik Ten Hag not to be out, and again, I'm not blaming Erik Ten Hag, but for him to not being able to get those players on the same page is a bit concerning for me. But before we get into 3-2-1s, is there anything else in regards to the match you do want to discuss? Was there talking points or a particular performance or anything?
Just really quickly, Anthony. I don't know what you made of his game yesterday. I didn't think he was terrible. What I'm worried about now is he's just becoming far too predictable. We really know he can't use his right foot, so it's really pretty obvious what he's going to do on that right-hand side.
I think he's feeling the pressure. For me, it feels like he's feeling the pressure. He gets into a position, he thinks, I want to do this, but thinking, look, I can't do this. I'll come back. I'll just make it safe. I think he's really sort of playing within himself. And again, maybe that is a natural thing. He's a young player coming to a big club for big money, but he needs to get out of that. And maybe he will, maybe he won't. Who knows? Time will tell. I think he's playing within himself. I think sometimes he's getting the ball. Sometimes he knows he should be dribbling to the byline. He's thinking, hang on, I'm not quite sure. Maybe that'll be my right foot. I'll just make sure I'll keep the ball. And I think if he backed himself, he's got the traits. I think he's playing well enough to perform and sort of deliver what's needed. But I really have a feeling, which I made this point the other week, I think he's really playing within himself. And maybe that's a good thing to sort of to slowly implement himself into the game, maybe. But not concerns, but he's holding back, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then one other thing as well. So you're watching United yesterday, probably about half an hour on Optus Sport before they've got Fat Rafa Benitez in the studio. Don't know if you saw that.
They wanted that desk. They wanted Newcastle to win. They had Michael Owen, Rafa Benitez, Shea Given. They were pinning their hopes on a Newcastle win, weren't they?
Anyway, Benitez, he raises a point in terms of Ronaldo's best system, and he goes, Ronaldo, for me, he was best suited when he was playing alongside another striker. He evident yesterday didn't really go his way. It's not really gone his way most of this season in terms of coming off the bench and making an impact. Any validity to his points, in your opinion?
Well, I'll get into Ronaldo in regards to my substitution, which we'll get into the substitution. I actually thought the substitution to make was to take Fred off, leave Ronaldo on and play Rashford next to Ronaldo and have two up front and go an almost old-fashioned 4-4-2. And in regards to what suits Ronaldo best, I think we can have that debate. I think ultimately he's a number 9 now. He needs to occupy that space. We can have debates on sort of how he drifts wide and is that detrimental to the team? Is that how he plays the game? They're all different discussions, but I think we've got Ronaldo for such a short period, potentially having for another 3 months or potentially another 6 months, who knows? A very short period, and I think we just need to get the best out of him. And I think to get the best out of him at the moment is in the box. It's not asking too much of him, but ultimately that's my next point, Josh, in regards to that. We needed a goal, 20 minutes to go. The only way in behind, because Newcastle were camping deeper and deeper and deeper, there was no space in behind. To replace him with Marcus Rashford to try and exploit that space in behind, which there was none, and take off your best goal scorer when the only avenue we're creating, one, through our own play, but also through the way Newcastle were setting up, was to get balls into the box. To take off the best goal scorer in the world, to put Marcus Rashford on. Look, I love Erik ten Hag. I think he's doing really good things. That was a huge mistake by Erik ten Hag. I think that was naive. And now, again, there's obviously parts in potentially sort of keeping Ronaldo fresh and squad rotation and minutes. It's a busy week. I fully understand that. Marcus Rashford potentially could grab a goal. But in that 95th minute when that ball came across, I should have been edging my seat. I should have been jumping with it and thinking, yeah, it's a goal. And sort of would have been disappointed. When the ball came across, I was staring. I was not confident Rashford was either going to get head on the ball or if he did was to hit the target. Now, on another day, he could score that, of course, and it'd be a hero. And we're having another discussion. We're saying what a substitution it was by Erik ten Hag. But ultimately, 20 minutes to go in that time. If it was away at Manchester City and the game was stretched and there was space in behind, yeah, maybe Marcus Rashford was the right substitution. But in that game, to take Ronaldo off, I thought it was a huge mistake by Erik ten Hag.
Yeah, I mean, look, in hindsight, I think the best chances of the game actually came through Rashford anyway. He created a really good chance for Fred moments before, obviously, that header at the end. Kind of agree with Rob's point in the comment. I think if anyone was going to come off, I probably wouldn't have even taken off Fred. I probably would have gone for Anthony. Didn't think he was making that much of an impact. I thought Dan Burn, for them, had him, well under control for large portions of the game. I think there was one time where he did get the better of him, Anthony. But I think he was well and truly tame. But then again, so was Jadon Sancho. I thought it was probably one of his poor performances this season.
Anthony, the point on Anthony goes back to what I was talking about earlier in regards to just play with a bit more confidence. Like if he went at Dan Burn, he was going to get himself sent off. And I think just back himself, but he sort of wanted to play it safe. And look, hopefully Erik ten Hag can get into him and sort of change that mindset, or Anthony can find it within himself. But yeah, definitely not concerns, but definitely something to look at in regards to that. But in regards to the Ronaldo, just the last bit on the Ronaldo substitution. Yeah, it's obviously very easy in hindsight where he's saying at the moment it's the wrong decision because we didn't score. If Rashford scores the goal, it's the correct decision. I understand it is extremely easy sitting here after the fact, but just your initial thoughts when it happened. Did you think potentially, even just forget the tactical side of things, forget what could potentially happen, just the idea, and just so you've obviously got Sir Alex Ferguson on the pitch with Ronaldo before the game, etc. In terms of the idea of taking your best goal scorer off with 20 minutes to go when you need a goal, Ken, I don't want to look back at Sir Alex Ferguson's time. We do need to move on. That's something that just doesn't happen. You're going to keep Ronaldo on.
Yeah, but he's our best goal scorer in history, but this season, probably not.
Yeah, but you're trying to get balls into the box. There's the sub. Bring Rashford on, but bring him on for Fred. Bring him on for Anthony to take Ronaldo off. 95th minute, who do you want that ball to fall to, Rashford or Ronaldo? The answer is Ronaldo. No, yes,
yeah. I mean, yeah,
Ronaldo could miss it.
I mean, look, in hindsight, it's a terrible decision, but Rashford scores that header. We're not even talking about it. All ifs and buts.
I understand that. I understand, and look, I understand maybe a little bit harsh on Rashford, but when that cross came in, I was not confident. As soon as he got his head to it, he's missed because it looks like he was aiming wide. I just thought, and maybe that's where my frustration stemmed from, because I kind of sensed that with 20 minutes to go. I thought, when that commentator said 0-0 draw was on the cards, maybe that is where sort of my mind was at. But in regards to any other talking points, I'm not sure if there are any sort of real standout points in regards to that. But it is a tricky time with the podcast, Josh. We are going to try and This is a hard one. 3-2-1s. We'll bring up the 3-2-1s now. I do not know where to begin. Look, if Rashford scores that goal, he gets the 3 points, no doubt. Unfortunately, he doesn't. Now, I don't know where to look in regards to this. Ultimately, in regards to we run a little bit of pressure in the first half and ultimately walk away with a clean sheet. So I think we do need to talk about Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane potentially for points. But anywhere else on the pitch, no one grabbed it.
I mean, look, it wasn't. I know it was one of his fewer starts of the season, Casemiro, but I thought in terms of the midfield and staying away from the back four, but was clearly superior in terms of the 3-2-1s. I thought Casemiro was probably the shining light out of probably a very average midfield and attacking front foot.
As bad as we looked with Fred in regards to how many things sort of broke down with Fred, and when we compare that to Christian Eriksen, through Casemiro, we still looked quite comfortable. As much turnover there was in midfield in regards to when Fred was losing the ball or Bruno was losing the ball. With Casemiro there, I don't know if it was Casemiro himself or just the way the game played out, we did feel comfortable. It wasn't like they were just walking through. We saw Brighton at the start of the season. They'll just get the ball and they'll just dribble through midfield. We still were very comfortable, even if it wasn't sort of a vintage midfield performance.
Yeah, look, I don't think United were really suspects in terms of the back and even in the holding midfield as well. I thought it was, as I said at the start, a very, very controlled game. Look, I'm saying it was probably one of the shining lights in midfield. I don't think he was definitely he wasn't a free for me, but definitely I think he'd be up there in contention for maybe a point.
Well, give us some help in the live chat because I honestly have no idea. I think Casemiro goes in there for points, whether that be a 3 or a 2 or a 1, I'm not sure.
But other than that, it's a clear one for me. Rafael Varane.
But look, I think especially the sort of pressures we did have to face in that first half. I think ultimately, if we go in halftime 1 or 2-0 down, who knows what discussion we're having now? Obviously, we can take something out of the match in regards to a point and a clean sheet. And I think ultimately we are. Look, I wouldn't say there was a nightmare. It wasn't nothing to do with Martinez or Varane, but there was a nightmare playing out from the back between De Gea and Fred. And I'm just thinking, take away that incident away. We actually played out from the back, actually not too bad in regards to Rafael Varane and Martinez. So I would be looking at a combination of Varane, Martinez, and Casemiro. But if you have anyone else to throw in there or any other names pop up in the chat, I'm happy to listen.
Yeah, well, okay, Rob's throwing out Rashford there for a point, and look, I think the miss at the end sort of seals him not getting a point for me. I think he created a lot when he came on. He looked pretty decent, but.
If the Fred chance wasn't offside, because if the Fred goal goes in, open goal by Fred, it gets disallowed. I'm pretty sure they confirmed Marcus Rashford was offside. And I'm just thinking, potentially created chances there, but did he really? Because it was offside. And I'm just thinking...
no, I'm not sure if he was offside. He looked pretty level for me.
Yeah, I thought he was onside, but the conversations I've heard was... And look, he might have been onside. Just the latest I heard and sort of the commentator... was he's potentially off. But look, Marcus, in regards to changing the game, potentially did give a bit of a threat, but I'm held back in regards to that Ronaldo substitution, and that's not to criticise Marcus Rashford. Obviously, Eric Ten Hag sends him on. By all means, go on and do your best, which Marcus Rashford did. But I'm disappointed with Eric Ten Hag, and I haven't said that this season. I'm not happy with him in regards to this, so hopefully he learns from it. But I'm seeing a couple of things here. Actually, a name here. I wouldn't throw him in regards to man of the match, but Ryan's throwing the chat. Luke Shaw, Anthony Martinez. Anthony was a tricky one because a lot of people have been frustrated, and I agree with the frustrations. He was a threat. If something was going to happen, it was coming through Anthony. Now, obviously, nothing did.
I'm not sure about that. So,
Sancho, where would a goal have come from?
Look, statistically, it would have come from Rashford. In terms of the best chances of the game.
Well, maybe not particularly Anthony scoring the goal, but I think there was a threat. No, he didn't sort of deliver on that threat. He didn't execute. I fully understand that's a huge part of it. It's probably all of it. But I think there was a part when he went past Danburn, when he could have got crosses into the box. Now, the crosses weren't good, okay, but he got in that position where it was almost close to making it happen. So I wouldn't give him points. But in regards to that, no, I think it was hard done by. If we win 1-0 and Marcus Rashford scores a goal, I think we're having a different discussion about Anthony.
Yeah, look, I'm not really sure.
I wouldn't give him points.
I'm not really sure as well. I mean, again, he sort of epitomised what I said in terms of the performance. I didn't think it was through want of a lack of effort. I think Shaw epitomised that. He put the effort in, but just not really clinical enough in the final third, getting up the pitch and putting those deliveries into the box, which is sort of what you want him to do. I mean, when he had that threat when Alex Telles came into the team, he sort of upped his game in all areas of the pitch. And with Tyrell coming into the team, he threw a few good decent games where Malacia hasn't been performing, but it's nothing that's been overwhelming where you think, you know what, he's a 100% consistent starter over Malacia. And I think he obviously needs to gain some momentum to show that, but I don't think yesterday did any favours for him.
Just before we finalise these points, the point here Borche makes in regards to Ronaldo, I've heard this a lot today, and look, I can see this point. I understand where people are coming from. Now, I strongly disagree, and the numbers back me up in regards to this, but I fully accept this and understand, and the visual it does create, I do accept. Ronaldo was always out wide and never in the middle for the cross. What makes you think he would have been there for the last chance? 95th minute, I'd cut my balls off. Ronaldo is going to be in the box in the 95th minute to score that goal. Of course he would. He's not going to be on the sideline in the 95th minute. In regards to that visual, he does give the perception that he stands out wide and he's not in the box for that delivery. And I agree sometimes when the ball gets sort of quickly transitioned out to the right and he might be on the left, yes, he could be in there a little bit quicker. However, for the last 10 years when Ronaldo has scored all his goals, he scored 700 goals now, that's what he does. He doesn't stand in the box. He doesn't wait in the box. He's in the box for two or 3 seconds a game. That's what he does. So for now to suddenly say, no, he should be standing in the box, well, you tell him to do something he's never done. He has always just drifted and done nothing and waited for that opportunity. He knows when he's sort of good and ready to get into the box. And in the 95th minute, he would have been in there. Now, ultimately, would he have scored the goal? Who knows? Money would suggest that potentially yes. But in regards to that visual that he gives where he looks like he's not in the box, awaiting those crosses, Josh, is that something that gives you a bit of concern? Do you agree with Borche in regards to he should be in there? Or do you take my line of thinking, well, it's just his game that he's done for 10 years?
Look, I think he would have been. He drifts out wide. He does drift out wide quite a lot in games, but I think in the fundamental and the most important parts of the game, such as the 95th minute when you're chasing it and you're looking to get a winner, I have no doubt that he'd probably be in the box for that. Yeah. No concerns there. But look, there's elements of his game at the moment where he is drifting out, far too wide at probably pivotal moments. Not too pivotal in the sense that it's like a last minute, but in certain key sort of attacks as well, he does drift.
Yeah, no, look, I definitely see the point of view, but I've just watched Ronaldo for 10 years, and he always does that. He's not sort of a target man who sits in the box and pins himself up against a defender. He waits to sort of make that darting run, and it's why he scores so many goals, because defenders have 89 minutes of not having to worry about Ronaldo because he's nowhere near them. Suddenly there's dart into the box and they have to engage, and suddenly Ronaldo sort of gets the yard on them, and that's he sort of lulls them into a false sense of security so many times. I think that's a trait that he uses. But in regards to the 3-2-1s, Josh, look, you've made a lot of good points tonight. I'll just give you the floor in regards to 3-2-1s because I honestly can't split them. My suggestions in regards to names is Martinez, Varane, and Casemiro, but I'm happy for you to pull rank and dish them out how you like.
I'll just go the other way around. I'm going to go for Varane, then Martinez, and Casemiro.
Okay, I'll lock those in regards to 3-2-1s. If you are watching on playback and disagree, please do leave your 3-2-1s in the comments below. And while you're at it, if you could leave a like on the video, that'd be very much appreciated. And if you are still in the live chat, any more talking points or anything you do want to discuss, please do throw in the live chat. And any disagreements with me, I understand some of my views around Ronaldo and that. A lot of people disagree, and probably right to. But if any disagreements, throw them in the live chat. But Josh, I'm trying to look at my points. Made a few points in regard to referees, VAR, 3-2-1s, Christian Eriksen. We need more goals. We need more goals striker. What happens?
Sign someone in January. I'm not sure. I think if Ronaldo leaves, he probably would. Who's going to leave?
But then, if there's potentially no money and someone, I don't know, from Slovenia or something scores a goal, a £10 million player scores a goal at the World Cup, he currently becomes a £110 million player. And I'm just thinking, if we do sort of dissect and have a little bit of a deep look at the finances, go buy a striker. That's what Manchester United have done. Are we really in the position to be doing that? Because Richard Arnold and the books suggest otherwise.
Probably not, in all honesty, but I don't think there'll be much action after the World Cup, in all honesty. The transfers on our end, I think it'll be very quiet.
What's your thought in regards to Larry and I have had plenty of discussions there. Everyone in the live chat has had it over the last couple of weeks in regards to this striker debate. And look, we can look to the transfer market, who could be a good sign-in. But in regards to what we have now, there's this argument in regards to it should be Martial. Can we rely on him though? So if we can't rely on him, should we be giving Ronaldo and Rashford minutes through there? Is Rashford a left winger or a striker? Should we be using Ronaldo? Does he fit the system? Does he not fit the system? At the moment, we're playing Tottenham tomorrow, next week, or whenever it is. All three strikers are fit. I'll say this, I'll put it to you this way, Josh. All three strikers are fit, but Martial won't play the next game. He will get injured at some stage through the game or won't be fit for the next game. Do you still play Martial at the expense of minutes of other players?
I think, yeah, because he's been pivotal for United this season.
Yeah, I'd maybe agree.
I think Larry would be happy there, wouldn't he?
Yeah, no, it's a hard one, but do you know what I mean, though? Like, you maybe get your best performance, but ultimately, could you get too good rather than have an 8 out of 10 performance than a 0 because he's not available? Could you have 2 7 out of 10 performances by someone else if you give them the extended minutes and game time? And I'm just thinking Anthony Martial has been so good when he's played this year, but he just hasn't played. And it's a real detriment to the team because Rashford and Ronaldo aren't quite proven to be the answer, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing with United this season. I'm not seeing it for a while where we've had a pretty, I wouldn't say horrific injury, but we've had a pretty horrific, game where key players have been missing. Key important players that have been sort of good parts of our momentum this season have just not been played for whatever reason, whether that be sickness, injury. It seems to sort of all accumulate yesterday in that one game.
Definitely. The name here, and this name will come about. Now, I cannot see a situation where this arises, but Ivan Toney, $60 million in January. Look, he's a good player. I fully accept it. Yeah, potentially. Crazy to think the $60 million for him is cheap, but potentially a situation like that. I think he's a good player. Very good player, and could score goals at Manchester United. To lead the line for Manchester United up against Erling Haaland, which is where we need to be, for putting all the eggs in an Ivan Toney basket, I think that is a recipe for disaster.
Some there, but I'm not sure if Erling Haaland, if Ivan Toney is definitely the right person to lead the line for United. Definitely not for me. 60 million is a little bit overrated. Quite cheap, actually. I was saying Ivan Toney, Tom. 60 million.
Am I back?
You are back, yeah.
I'm back. I'm not sure what happened there. I could hear you making a good point in regards to Ivan Toney. I don't know. Borche makes a point in here in regards to his big Liverpool fan, Binim. Yeah, I'm not sure. Look, unfortunately, a lot of the Man United players support Liverpool as youngsters, and who knows? World Cup, Ivan Toney, because he went to the last England squad, didn't he?
Yeah.
But I don't know what happens there because who plays behind Harry Kane? Like, is Ivan Toney going to go to the World Cup? Like, did you truly believe he goes to the World Cup? And if so, is it worth him going to the World Cup? Is it worth sort of trying to engineer a move elsewhere?
I mean, stranger things have happened. You'll probably get Phil Foden going to the World Cup and probably not even play a game.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Crazy if you think about it. But he's a generation. I don't like saying this about City players, but he really is he's a talent. And to think we were probably saying about 15 months ago when the incident with Foden and Greenwood in the England squad, that you were just like, oh, Foden's a terrible influence on Greenwood.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, well, look, that is another discussion to be had in regards to. I think today, maybe a few hours' time, we'll start to see photos of Mason Greenwood's first appearance in court. I think we'll keep sort of tight-lipped in regards to that at the moment, but more information will obviously come out today. And look, who knows what is going to happen there. Fingers crossed there's a speedy resolution for the victim involved. But Rob here with the point, I do agree. As much as I've not criticised Ivan Toney, but to stay clear of him, I'll take him over Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin is a player I do not want to see at Old Trafford for multiple reasons. And I think a few people in chat know why I don't want to see him at Old Trafford. But my mum... yeah, maybe something to do with his clothing choices. But my mum here saying, I think Ronaldo should play full game each time and we'll get more goals. In theory, it does sound good, Mum, but yeah, his legs aren't quite what they used to be. It's a bit of an ask for him. Arsenal, Josh, Bamford here. Bamford as well in there for England, definitely not at United. Definitely can't go for United. I hate Patrick Bamford at United. That penalty this morning, Josh, I'm not going to say he missed on purpose. He aimed wide. That was never going on his run up. I was watching the TV. I was saying, "Where's he aiming? Where's he aiming?" And he put it wide. And I think, "Oh my god, what's happened here?" I couldn't believe that penalty.
I mean, it's been some horrific. I don't say. See Harry Kane's midweek.
Harry Kane's
in Europa League. He just flop it decked it.
No, that's
Rose ahead.
What did Tottenham doing in the Champions League? Was it?
The Champions League, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Champions League.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
There's been some shocking penalties. It's kind of like yesterday. You think United was probably edging towards a penalty, and I wouldn't even back to score it. You look at Aaron Pope. Aaron Pope and Ronaldo was offside, and he tried to chip it. But it's just like, oh, he's got pretty long arms. He's probably saving that.
Look, it'll be interesting, all those names that you mentioned in regards to going to the World Cup and sort of how that potentially sort of trickles down and impacts Manchester United. I'm not sure. But is there anything else, Rob, here saying when's the Spurs preview? If you can tell me when the Spurs game is, Rob, or Josh, if you can remind me when the Spurs game is, get the calendar in order. Thursday morning. Looked at tomorrow night.
Yeah, straight before work.
Yeah, likely tomorrow morning. Potentially Larry and I are sort of meeting up at the pub tomorrow. If he's alive, if we do that, we might record a little bit of a preview at the pub and put it out there. If not, we'll definitely do a live stream on here sometime tomorrow. As Rob was saying, It's a Football Thing will be on tomorrow as well. So make sure you are subscribed to It's a Football Thing, 8:30 p.m. tomorrow, Australian time. Probably not a good week to listen if you're a United fan, to be honest. But do go show some support and love. And Josh, any other talking points before we do sort of wrap it up for the evening?
Nah. I'm excited. I'm excited for Thursday morning. Nice little kickoff time, but the way Spurs are going.
You say that now, Josh. Tell me on Thursday night if you enjoyed it.
Yeah, we'll see. Seems like a lifetime ago, Newcastle. So, look, it's a standard Sunday morning, or Monday morning, should I say, in terms of what we're used to. United disappointed us. Average performance. Played a little bit better than last year, so can't fault us there. But
it's a tough week for me now in regards to sport in Manchester. We do have that Thursday morning, which could potentially ruin the week and obviously ruin the Thursday. But Chelsea, as is, every single Chelsea match is 3 a.m. No matter what the day. We cannot play Chelsea at a time other than 3 a.m. But I've got a Bucks party on the Saturday night, so that is going to be a long night. Elliot, who's been in the chat occasionally, got his Bucks night, and that'll be a long night because you think, okay, hopefully being bed and sort of wrapped up by 3 a.m. But 3 a.m. I have to kick on and sort of watch the huge game against Chelsea. So fingers crossed the weekend can be a successful one. But again, appreciate all the comments in the live chat. Plenty of different opinions and disagreements, which I do truly appreciate. Make sure you do leave a like on the video. Rob with an important point. At least it is Saturday night, not Monday morning. Usually is a Monday morning, to be fair. So that is a bit of silver lining. But make sure you do leave a like, as I said on the video. If you aren't subscribed, please do leave a subscribe on the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. And as I said, there will be a preview tomorrow, whether it be live or a pre-record at the pub. Stay tuned, and we will be discussing how Man United can bounce back against Tottenham. Fingers crossed they can. Josh, pleasure.
Pleasure, yeah. Good to be back on.
Always, mate. Anytime. Until then, we'll chat to you. Cheers.